What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly, guys. If you're on Comic Book Weekly, welcome. And if you're on Comic Book Corner 2.0, welcome. I am Mike Spider Slayer, and my co-host today is Cat Comic Uno.
Hey, guys.
And unfortunately, we're missing Brant this week because at the very last moment, he called out he wasn't feeling well. He has a bad backache and and he was having some stomach issues. So he's like, I better not be on because I'm just not feeling up to it. So hopefully he feels better because we wanted to have some, Spider-Man talk, of course. And but yeah, it's not going to happen. But we do have Kat here this week, and she's feeling better. So welcome back, Kat.
Thank you. Yeah, last week was not fun. Even when I was doing my comic book, the best comics of the week Wednesday show, I was struggling to talk. So I'm happy that I am better for the most part. I think next couple of days, hopefully, I'll be 100%. But it happens,
Yep,
it's all good
absolutely.
in the hood. But we're gonna get to the news, which is very few and in between this week. So. Actually, there is only two news pieces because only Brant wanted to talk about that media news piece. So literally only two news pieces. The first thing is that Marvel is bringing back Blade's daughter. This came out like 5 years ago, which doesn't feel like 5 years ago. That felt like 2 years ago. It felt like very recently, but I think with COVID, everything, time does not exist anymore. But she was supposed to show up and just never did. So now I guess she's showing up for Free Comic Book Day, and hint, hint, they have a movie coming out. So they're like, yeah, we should do something with Blade.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to do something with Blade, and I think this book is going to be a huge Spec book because it's going to be this brand new character that's been years in the making. So people are they're gonna gather up this Free Comic Book Day book, and because you never know, it could be worth money. I mean, it's funny that I have this here, but I have this one sitting right here, right? This 9.8 Amazing Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day book, and this one is actually, people have gotten this graded and it is worth money. So
what year is that? I wonder if I even have it.
2011.
Oh wow, I might not. I'm guessing I probably have it.
Yeah,
But that was, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
It's not worth a ton, but for it to be worth something because it was free is kind of crazy, right? But this one is like, it has a Madam Web, Julia Carpenter appearance. So that's one of the reasons why it has some of the value onto it. So, but yeah, if you're specking on Blade and Blade coming back and being that there's a completely new character, that's something that you want to grab,
Yeah, I mean that's we'll be talking more about Spec Comics in the near future because of the very little news we have. But yeah, I was also just interested in the character when it was announced a couple of years ago, and I was disappointed that they didn't do anything. So hopefully it's worth the wait, the very long wait. So let's move on to our last news piece. And Wesley Snipes is launching a comic for Kickstarter called Exiled. So obviously this is most likely going to become a movie property of some sort. They're using Kickstarter to launch it. I don't know who the publisher is, but I don't think it's like a Dynamite or a bigger publisher. It is Gifted Rebels and PCB Entertainment and Mandy House Studios. So I don't know. I'm guessing maybe they're more towards the film industry. But I just think it's interesting to see Kickstarter grow. We saw the biggest Kickstarter launch a couple of weeks ago with I don't even know how much money ended up being, Secret Novels. It was millions and millions of dollars. Let me look it up. Yeah, no, it was. I'm gonna actually screen share this. So this is the biggest Kickstarter. It was for regular novels. Google Chrome. Why is it not accepting? I got to go to preferences. My Google Chrome was updated, so I can't show it. But so it was $41 million, 185,000 backers.
Wow,
that's how much that novel made.
Crazy! Holy cow! Totally insane.
Yeah.
Being that he's doing a Kickstarter too, I think it's kind of cool. It's just another avenue. I think Kickstarter is really great. It gives people the ability to do something that they couldn't do before. You know what I'm saying? To get into comic books before was nearly impossible. And now that Kickstarter is around, it definitely gives you that opportunity to make your dream come true, you know, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and again, I think from a bigger actor, like we saw with Keanu Reeves, or even saw with Scott Snyder, it just brings more people to the platform. So, and like you said, it helps other projects and is become a real medium to release comics, and I think that's really cool, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I do have a Kickstarter coming up on Monday. I will post it in the description below, but it is for my webtoon Slice Life. It's about an anime character who comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. So we are excited to be releasing that. And Webtoon has like over 25,000 subscribers, and that's in less than a year. So
Awesome.
I think it's pretty cool just seeing different mediums help get your books out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a minute to recognize the people that are on the show so far. We got Get the Key Comic is on. Welcome. We got Tevia who's on. Bavarian's on the show, so welcome back, Bavarian. James is on. He says Evening Comic Book Weekly. And Tevia is always asking, he's asking where's Brant? And we said that he's not feeling well, so he stayed out today. The name changes. He says Ola. Eli says evening, everyone. And Mars is saying at James Phelps Station. And Fanboy saying hi. So we got a lot of people on there. Comic Toby 420 says, hi, Mike. Yeah, sorry you didn't enjoy Morbius. Yeah, it was.
I'm glad I didn't go see it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry you had to.
Yeah, it was. I mean, listen, it was. I wanted to see Batman, but my son already saw it. And so I was like, all right, let's go see a movie that we both haven't seen. I'm like, I wanted to see Morbius anyway. Trailer actually looked good for the movie. And, you know, of course, I'm not a huge fan of the character, but it's different when you're on TV or comics, like how they would portray the character in a movie, right? And just the film in general was just, for me, it was poorly constructed film. You can tell there was edits, there were story plots that just didn't make sense in there, and just like there was holes in certain situation. It just wasn't believable, you know, when it came to certain things. When it came to Morbius, I don't know, man. And it was a very predictable plot. Like you knew what was going to happen from the second you actually started watching the movie. But I didn't think it was a bad movie until I got like halfway through it. And I'm like, man, this is just not good. You know, some people gave me shit about it, being like, oh, it's not that bad. And this and that. I've never said anything bad about any type of Marvel movie, period. And I won't say anything bad unless I think it's truly a poorly constructed film. Even Internals, I found the good in that movie. There was some good in there. I just said that it needs to be a Disney Plus show instead of a movie because it was so drawn out and so many characters. Venom, there was good in that actual show as well.
Because it knew what it was, you know? It was just like, it was fun. A fun bad movie. Like, and then Venom 2 definitely leaned into it. But Morbius, I don't think, from what I heard, knows exactly what it needed to be. And it does make me a little nervous for the upcoming movies. But this has been planned so much and pushed. I think they're just like, we just want this to be released.
Yeah, we just.
So, it's writing on the wall for sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like when you look at this movie at the end of the day, you're just like, wow. I mean, this could have been a movie about a character who is going through a very tragic time where he's suffering through his disease, but then he was suffering through Morbius. But instead, we felt like we needed to put a bad guy in there, an evil Morbius, to fight him alongside of it, when that really wasn't necessary. It really is more about the character battling the demon within himself when he tries to cure himself. And I would have loved to seen him more do a struggle with that than him fight some bad guy 2 or 3 times in the actual movie. And there were just some really cheesy scenes in there. You know, when you show up, someone is dying and he actually shows up, and right when you show up, that person dies. You know, when that happens, Kat?
Yeah.
Not only does it happen once, but it happens twice. And it happens twice within a minute span. And it's just like, really? You know, it's so bad.
Well, at least Doctor Strange is coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And it always seems like these movies happen with the Sony movies. I don't have too many other problems with the other movies. Are they perfect? No. But listen, this movie just was not good. I mean,
they're not the X-Men Dark Phoenixes and this one. It seems like not that X-Men Dark Phoenix is a Sony movie, but it's not an MCU movie. And that was one that was very boring. Honestly, the only two I haven't seen 3 superhero Marvel movies, and that is Eternals. I haven't seen this, and I haven't seen New Mutants. Those are the only 3 superhero movies I haven't seen.
I haven't seen New
I'm not
Mutants
saying I'm not
either.
planning it, but
I haven't seen Dark
New
Phoenix.
Mutants. Dark Phoenix is not worth it. I mean, if you saw it in theaters, I thought it was funny, laughable bad. At least that was it was boring, but there was definitely parts where I'm like, oh, that's stupid, and you could kind of laugh along with it. But Morbius doesn't even seem like it has that. It just seems like it was boring.
Yeah, this is it. This was just rough. If you want to watch it, listen, go for it. Right? I'm not trying to deter you from it, but this is just my personal opinion. Me and my son were legit laughing halfway through this movie.
Oh, then that's good to hear. You had some enjoyment
because it was that bad. And then we were walking out of the movie theater dying.
Was anyone there?
Yeah, the theater was packed.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was packed. And I was like, okay, don't tell me anything because we're gonna do a video on this. And the first thing I did was when I hit play, I started cracking up because it was just, man, oh man. So his powers were off, and like it just seemed weird, dude. So that's all I have to say about that. But I'm looking forward to the next movie, and we'll see where it goes from here. But the only Sony movie that I can say that it was phenomenal is Into the Spider-Verse, and they showed a preview for the next one, and man, that movie looks so good. Even just from the little bit that they showed, I'm just like, I cannot wait for that movie.
Yeah, me too. That's on the top of my list. I think it's coming out my birthday weekend too. So I'm like, that is going to be my birthday celebration. I'm going to bring everybody, be like, let's go see Spider-Man and see Spider-Gwen on the screen and whoever else shows up. Over 50 viewers. Thank you guys. Really appreciate
thanks,
that.
guys. Just make sure now that you're watching the show, just make sure, please give this one a like so it helps people know that our show exists. And we appreciate you guys coming on. But we will be talking about some Spider-Man stuff now, so we're going to go into that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. We had different opinions on it, so I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah, so let's talk about this Queen Goblin character, and let's talk about Chasm, right? So
is it Chasm or is it Chasm?
It's Chasm, as far as I know. Yeah,
with an H.
Yeah, with an H. Yeah.
Okay. So, interesting.
So let's talk about the 2 characters. We had those 2 characters that came out of this whole Beyond situation, right? So do these characters, are they going to have legs? Are they worth speculating on? Is it worth trying to find every issue that they're in? I would say,
I don't think Queen Goblin, but maybe this Ben Reilly character. I do think there's some fire for that one.
I don't think that character would be worth that much money because
you don't think people are going to enjoy him?
No, because it's Ben Reilly, and you're not going to go after this book because technically it's the same person. So you would sit there and you would have to go after the first appearance of when Ben Reilly hits the pages of Spider-Man. That would be the book we're specking on because now he is a villain, not necessarily the Chasm character, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. I know a lot of people were going for that the white and black cover.
The Patrick Gleason cover.
Yeah,
yes.
The Patrick Gleason cover. I saw someone get it in the store and I didn't even think about it. I was like, cool, let me pick up my comics and I'm going to go. But I saw it and I was like, what comic is that? And then like later on social media, I saw, oh, that was Spider-Man. And I obviously wasn't spoiled of what was going on. So yeah, there was a lot of buzz about that.
Yeah, I picked that one up too. I picked up those 2 covers, and then I also got like a reprint last week of the first appearance of Queen Goblin. So I wound up getting that. So
oh, nice.
it looks like Ben Reilly character might last longer because he's a major character in this universe and has been around forever. And the one thing I'm weary about is, do you think he'll go back to Ben Reilly? I think he'll get cured eventually.
So I'm gonna go into the root of this whole issue where I was why I was like so torn. And I didn't hate the issue. Honestly, especially sitting on it, I was like, I liked the ending. I really didn't like the full issue. I felt like there was a lot of nothing to get to 3 pages of something. And I think
Right.
that's been my biggest criticism of Spider-Man for the past couple of years since Nick Spencer, where there's a lot of nothing and then there's 1 page of something. And I think at that point, I just got a little tired of it. I feel like, we got the scene with Mary Jane and Peter maybe moving in together, but we know that in the future, they're going to be fighting about something. So it's like this little dangling piece of meat in front of us. And we're like, okay, well, that's not going to actually happen. They're just trying to troll us. And then same thing with Ben Reilly. They haven't really been able to do anything with him. I feel like his outfit was really cool, but is this really making me a Ben Reilly fan? I don't know. It kind of came out of the blue. It was like, okay, cool. This is what I guess you're doing with him. I don't think they really built it up very well. So I felt in some regards a little underwhelmed with this issue because of that, because it just feels like a lot of the same things they've been doing and they're just not treating us Spider-Man fans correctly.
Well, see, when it comes to Ben Reilly, what did I tell? I said this a couple weeks ago. I said,
Yeah.
what would I want Ben Reilly? I would want Ben Reilly to die, right? That's what I would said. And at first, I thought he was actually dying. He was falling in that pit. And I'm like, no shit. I'm like, is he actually going to die? Like, did I call it? And then sure enough, he winds up becoming a villain. And I'm okay with him being a villain because
again,
but this is more of a villain, whereas before he was still Ben Reilly doing that whole clone conspiracy thing. But this one, he legitimately now has beef with Peter, and he does not remember anything. He doesn't even remember who himself is. Like, he looks in that mirror and he sees an empty face. Like, he doesn't even know himself. So he has legit changed in any way, shape, or form. So if there's something that you could do is make him into a villain to fight Peter in the future. Right. So I think that could last quite a while, and it gives the character some legs instead of him just meandering out there in some spider world with all the rest of the spider characters that we don't seem to truly know what to do with, like Spider-Gwen or Miles Morales or Silk or the other characters. Right. So this makes it easy. Ben Reilly just moves on to the villain side.
I just don't want to see him at all, though. I'm just like so tired of Ben Reilly. I'm just like, give him a break.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you probably won't see him for a while now because we got this whole thing going on, and then we'll see when they meet up with each other again. When it comes to Queen Goblin, she seems to be the temporary replacement for Green Goblin because remember, she has all of Norman Osborn's sins inside of her. So as long as she has those sins, I don't know how, I guess, Green Goblin could come back or Norman Osborn can come back as the character until somehow maybe he was to take another serum again, right? So
I thought she was an interesting character. Like, I feel like because Wells wrote her, we would get to see more of her.
Yeah, I think you will for sure, because she is on one of the future covers coming up, and I think it's also a Patrick Gleason cover as well. So I think she has strong potential. I think honestly, out of the two characters, they're both kind of obviously they're rehashes because a lot of people are comparing this Chasm character or Ben Reilly as kind of like Eddie Brock, because it's just like he blames Peter for everything that has gone wrong in his life, and his suit kind of looks like a symbiotic type of thing as well. And then, of course, you got Queen Goblin, who is just the next Goblin character in the Spider-Man universe. So I think if you can, just to be safe, I say go out there, pick up any cover you can get when it comes to the Chasm character. Maybe the second print, he might be on a second printing, cover or whatnot. And if you can find your issues of the first appearance of Ben Reilly, go out there and pick that up, because again, that could drive the value up of the character. And then Queen Goblin, just go out there, buy your second print, buy the first print, buy that Patrick Gleason cover that's coming up, and that's what I would go for. What's it say? I want to see Chasm be a great bad guy with a great fall, and redemption will be hard. So yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't know what they're going to have to do, So
we'll see with that next arc. I feel like there's a lot up in the air, and I just want to have an open mind. I'm a little nervous about the first arc because I'm not going to enjoy the artwork. I just don't see that happening just because of previous experience with Romita Jr. But I am interested to see what the story is going to bring. And I just want to be excited about Spider-Man. I want them to put as much energy into Spider-Man as they did Immortal Hulk or even Venom. It just feels like the book has been going through the motions for a really, really, really long time. And this is your Batman. You should be doing more.
Right. I mean, what did you think of this story arc as a whole?
The Beyond arc as a whole?
Yeah.
I don't think it was. I think it was more enjoyable than Nick Spencer's run. I think there was some nuggets of gold, and that being Mary Jane and Black Cat. I think Queen Goblin was really good, and anytime we saw Peter, it was really good. But I think most of it bored me.
Yeah, I think if you had, and I agree with you, Black Cat, Mary Jane, I thought that side story was really, really good. I think if you had one writer on this, made it 6 issues instead of how many was it? 19 or something like that.
It was a lot of issues, especially if you count the Points Beyond issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Which definitely don't have those.
Oh, yeah. I think if you had one writer and maybe 2 artists the most, and you condensed the story, it would have been a lot better, because it took so long to understand the point of the Beyond Corporation's motive that it was really unnecessary. It was repeat, wash, repeat, whatever it is, over and over again, right? And so it wasn't until Queen Goblin, until we found out the motive, that they were creating heroes and villains at the same time to make themselves look better.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I feel like, and I think everyone knows this is quantity over quality. They just need to get to issue 900, and they're like, what's the fastest way to do that? And they did this, and you could just kind of, because I don't want to say you could tell that it was that, but it just, that was the feeling I got. I'm sure that all the creators on the team put a lot of effort into it, and I think some issues showed that, but I do feel like there was things behind the scenes that made this very rushed, where the creative team couldn't put as much time and effort as maybe they could have on another title.
So Tevia comes up with a question and says, Comic Book Weekly, Cat Mike question: why did we need the Spider-Man Beyond arc and turn Ben Reilly into a villain again? Well, I think the issue is Nick Spencer left early, right? That was the big thing. Yeah. I think he was supposed to hang around all the way through maybe 100, I think it was. And so Marvel and the Spider-Man people are left wondering, what are we going to do?
Kind of like the Batman thing. The same thing that happened with Tynion leaving.
Right.
And even X-Men with Hickman leaving.
Right. So you're in that same situation. What are we going to do? Well, let's get a bunch of people together. Let's come up with a story. Let's do it weekly, and let's get to 900. And by then, maybe we'll have our new creative team to continue the story. So this is what they could come up with, right? And again, they drew it out. Took a long time, and that's that. But I don't think we would have ever gotten this story if Nick Spencer left. I think we would have gotten the extended version of Kindred, right? And maybe the Kindred story would have ended different too.
I think you could tell that story was supposed to end differently than it did. I think there was just too many rushed elements to feel like, oh, this was it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I guess when it comes down to it, when it comes to this latest volume, it's ended. I posted this on my Facebook group today. It felt like yesterday that Nick Spencer's run was getting started, right? I mean, I remember
Yeah.
we were so
Loving
excited
it.
for it. They had that free comic book day issue that came out, and then #1 came out. And Kat, from your, I think it was San Diego, you sent me a Black Cat issue 1
Oh,
signed.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And
That's how long ago it was.
that's how long ago it was. So I was going through my comics today and I pulled it out. I'm going to get it. I'll be right back. You're going to be
Oh,
like,
I'm ready.
"Oh, yeah, I remember that." It's a
Oh,
nice
I
cover.
definitely will. It's just been so
People-
long.
Yeah, people will appreciate it anyway when they see it. But I was hard to believe. I was like, oh my God, she got me that long ago. So,
Right?
Yeah,
It's been so long since San Diego's like been a thing.
yeah.
Because it's just hasn't landed in the way it's supposed to. Yeah, no, it's just kind of crazy. And again, how much we love that arc, maybe the first 15 issues or so. Yeah,
So, yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a cool cover too.
Yeah, that was gorgeous. And it's signed. It's signed by, I don't know who it's signed by. It's
I think
obviously,
it's Mark Brooks. That's
Is
my
it?
guess if I'm looking at the
Okay.
art.
It's got 2 signatures on there. So
Maybe the writers. I look in the back, see if there's like a certificate or something. But you don't want to open it.
yeah. So I was looking through that. I'm like, oh my God, that's when this came out. So I was like, man, that is amazing. So yeah. So what do you rate this volume? The whole
I'd
entire
rate it
volume as a whole?
a 3.
The 3? How about a letter grade?
A letter grade?
Yeah.
A C.
A C?
Yeah.
I am going to. No, I think it's worse than. I think I'm going to give it. I was going to say like a D+ or a C-.
Oh wow. See,
Or a
because I'm
C-.
seeing it from just coming off of Kindred.
Yeah, I'm looking at everything as a whole. From
Compared
beginning
to every Spider-Man.
to 93. Yeah, to this very last issue. I would say C- or D+. That's what I would say around there. Because the way the whole Kindred story arc was handled, it just was so drawn out as well, and it took forever. And then the payoff was just like, oh, it so was disappointing, that payoff, and everything that was good in Nick Spencer's run was actually erased the further and further he went along in the story. We had all the great supporting cast members in there. And then once Kindred started hitting the pages, right, it was legit. It was like, let's forget everybody else. And let's just sit there and just focus on Kindred the entire time. So that's what it was.
We do have a super chat here. Should Spider-Girl be revived again? I want to see stories of college age Mayday. People still love him. I mean, look, you're talking to the choir. I really think I am the biggest Mayday Parker fan there is. I don't think there's a doubt on that one. But I don't think Marvel wants to publish it. I think that's just been prevalent for a long time. I think with characters like Spider-Gwen being out, I think the only way we're going to get a Mayday Parker book is if she shows up in Into the Spider-Verse. That is the only way we're going to get a Mayday Parker book. If it's connected to their movies, that is when they're going to want to showcase her.
You know what? I hate to say this, Kat. I just think that when you look at all the Spider characters that were introduced, like Silk and Gwen, and those are the ones that have kind of like overtook Mayday.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't, because also she's in the universe. They are. Even Spider-Gwen, they had to put her into the 616 for her to continue. They had to do the college stuff. So I'm not surprised, and I'm not battling you on that. I think that is a big reason. I also think she's not as known of a character. Like she's a very, 90s character. I'm not saying you can't bring her back. I mean, look at Spider-Man 2099. I just think that she needs to be introduced in a new way. and I think it needs to be a mainstream way.
Yeah.
And I definitely think in the next 5 years we're gonna get to see some Mayday media. With all the multiverse stuff, like, look, maybe Tobey Maguire could return as Spider-Man again, and we'll get to see some Mayday into the Spider-Verse. There's so many possibilities of Spider characters we could see. I think there's a reality where that can happen.
Yep. We got a couple people that gave a grade on the Spider-Man run. We have one from Fetz Rancor, C. And then we have Steve Kempton, who says it was a C-. So, around the same area as we were at. Again, when it comes to just Nick Spencer leaving and this Beyond story, inconsistent artwork, you're promised Ryan Otley. How many issues did he actually do? I mean,
I don't even know, man.
When you sit there and you say you're going to get Ryan Otley as an artist on Amazing Spider-Man, you expect the guy to do at least an issue a month, right? And you're expecting him to do the entire run. He wasn't even through it, a quarter of the way, I don't think. And even when he did it, he didn't do it all the time. It was so sparingly. You know what I'm saying? It was such a disappointment.
I agree.
So I don't know what happened there, So Tevye gave the run with Spencer, he gave it a B+.
It's so interesting. I know that Tevye really liked the run, which I'm so happy that you enjoyed it, because I know you haven't been enjoying Spider-Man for a long time. But I would thought like your grade would have changed with the ending of that book, where One More Day never happened. Like, they were teasing you so much and they never reverted it. That was a part I was angry at, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. And then final thoughts here on Spider-Man, just in general. What do you hope for now in the future of this series, the new series?
I want inventive storytelling. I want them to think about the fans first, because I don't think they've done that in a really long time.
I want, just like anybody, I want good storytelling, right? I want consistent storytelling. I don't want a long, drawn-out arc like Nick Spencer's run. I do not want that. I don't want it like in Beyond. I have no problem with 4-issue, 5-issue, 6-issue story arcs through that run. If you want to do a Spider event, I don't have a problem with that either. But I don't want someone's whole run to focus on one sole character like Kindred. You know what I'm saying? And that, I just think that hurts the book. Story arcs are fine, and then you just move on. Because if you have someone that doesn't like that current story arc that writer is writing, and it's extended all the way through, then you're going to lose fans on the book. So hopefully you have multiple stories to tell, and that's that. And I want consistent artwork.
Well, we already know we're not getting that. So
exactly. I mean, we already know by issue 900 you're getting McGinnis on the book.
Right.
So,
which again, I'm not complaining to switch it up on that regard.
I don't have a problem if he was the one that took over for the long term, because nothing against Romita Jr. A lot of people like him. I know a lot of people dislike him. I'm not personally a fan.
He needs to be on an indie. He needs to be on something that hasn't been established.
But he's not the artist anymore that can go twice a month, right? I mean, that's a fact. Right. So that's the way I look at it when it comes to that.
We are going to answer another Fight Out super chat. Love answering all these Mayday questions. But Mayday lasted more than 100 issue, longest female superhero solo title ever. Shouldn't she have more popularity, more attention from Marvel? Yeah. But honestly, the reason she lasted 100 issues, she was almost canceled like 4 times. It was a fight. It was really just the fans that it was. Honestly, if I had to be honest with you, I think the reason that book lasted as long as it did is because Tom DeFalco was on it.
Yeah.
If Tom DeFalco wasn't on it, that book would have been canceled a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think they're like, we love Tom. We're going to just keep Tom happy.
I mean, there's just so many readers though at this point, even though it lasted 100 issues, there's a lot of readers at that point that don't even know who Mayday is. So that,
and again, I would love to see May. She is my all-time favorite character ever. I've done so much with Mayday Parker. Back when the Spider-Girl boards were active, I was a part of that. I've met Tom multiple times and talked about Spider-Girl. I've done articles about Spider-Girl. I love Spider-Girl. But trying to see this realistically, that it's just Marvel always says no with it. It's a harder sell for some reason. But yeah.
Yeah. Got good art, plot progression, and meaningful villains. So that actually goes back to the point of, we say meaningful villains, by introducing this Chasm character, which is Ben Reilly, and Queen Goblin.
True.
Hopefully those characters get fleshed out more and they are meaningful to Spider-Man. Right? I mean,
and it's been a long time since one of those new characters showed up where I was like, oh, this actually has potential. And I feel like these two characters actually do have potential. We're almost at 70 viewers. And I think we actually did make 70 viewers.
Yes,
so thank
we
you
did.
Guys.
Yeah, so that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Glad we're having this little talk here today. Yeah, because honestly, I think that's why we were excited for Nick Spencer's run, right? Is we got introduced to the new villain and we wanted to know who that new villain was, but we could have gotten introduced to that new villain 10 issues into the story and we would have been all excited for him. But by the time he was actually introduced in issue, whenever it was 60 something or whatever it was, we're kind of like, who gives a flying fuck at that point? Right. I mean, seriously.
And then when it was revealed, it was so underwhelming. And it's just like, and I get it. I keep comparing it to Batman, but it's like Batman. It's so hard to please everybody. And I think that's the issue, is that they're trying to please everybody, but they're also not pleasing anybody by doing it. It's just like, tell us a cohesive story. When Ryan Otley and Donny Cates did, not Ryan Otley, I'm sorry, Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates did Venom, they weren't out there to please everybody. They were out there to tell a story. And I think Spider-Man needs to take a step back and just tell us a story again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, man. It's kind of funny because we all complained about Slott, and then when Slott left and Nick Spencer took over, we were like, oh, it's a breath of fresh air. And then we saw what happened. And I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, Slott's run wasn't all that bad. His story had Spider-Man, there were stakes. There was something at stake for Spider-Man. That's what I never really felt with Nick Spencer's run. There was just nothing ever at stake, right? So,
and please don't kill him off. That doesn't mean stakes, but also the reason it was stakes for Dan Slott is because they never had done that, in that regard, in that way. Right. So you continuing to do the same thing over and over again also is not helping. So yeah, no, it's interesting.
Yep. Mike, you should ask Kat what her top 5 of the month was.
I go check out the video. I will say they're the 5th choice. Might have been controversial. There is a 5th choice that we've talked about on the show. That was a controversial pick. Her name could be Gwen. And
oh god, that fucking Jesus God. When does that number 2 come out anyway?
Do you even know? I don't even know. No, I know. Actually, let's look it up.
No, Gwen, it's not. Do we have to know? I should have never even asked that.
No, we gotta know. Nah, it's coming out soon, I'm sure. That's what I'm sure of. Let's see, Spider-Gwen, Gwenverse League of Geeks, because that is the best website to go on for.
Absolutely, yeah. If you guys ever are looking to find out when comics come out, you go on to League of Comic Geeks. It's a really great site. Gives you all the information, everything that you need. That's what I use to get all my information.
Yeah, no, it's so much easier that way. April 20th it comes out. So we got a couple of weeks. Hopefully it doesn't let me down. Hopefully it makes top 5 once again of the month. That means of all the books I read that month,
watch it be like the worst week for comic books,
And then it'll be my number 1. And it'll get 5 stars actually. So
Jeff goes, Gwenverse number 2 is the most anticipated comic ever. LOL. Oh my
That's God. What I heard. That's
He's
what I heard.
Now. He's like, yeah, no, it's not.
No, it definitely
aggressively
is.
Relaxing says, I don't think Amazing Spider-Man is bad. I lost the thing. There it is. In fact, I really liked what seemed like a lot of house cleaning of the character's history instead of ignoring it lately. Let's slot right Spidey with MJ. That would be interesting, right? So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with it. The final issue, though, just to close this out, when it came to Spider-Man, because I don't think I gave my thoughts on the final issue. What I was looking for in issue 92 is what I got in issue 93. The story is very dark. You have Ben who is lost. He's beside himself. He doesn't know what to do. He's acting on impulse, trying to do whatever he can to get his memories back. For me, for Ben, it seemed like himself was at stake, right? That he was losing himself. And in that last issue, they inserted all that crazy ass humor, right? That didn't make sense. And in this issue, they did not do that. And so for me, it made it a much more compelling story. And I liked how they fight. And obviously, it's very cliche that he's going to blame Peter for everything that happens. But I honestly didn't see the end happening, that he was going to become this crazy ass character. But I liked it because I liked how emotional it was. And they did not try to force humor in a very serious toned book. So I thought the ending to this was very well done, in my opinion. It closed the chapter in a way I didn't expect, right? So obviously, like you said, Kat, they dangled a carrot in front of you when it came to the Mary Jane thing, which that's not going to happen. And then we get teased with some other new villain, which we don't even know who that is. So, it left you guessing at the end. So I can't complain about the final issue compared to some other issues where fucking Spider-Man, Ben Reilly was fighting sandwiches, right? So this was much better than what we got in the past. So that is it when it comes to Spider-Man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that discussion. It seems like you did. So now we're going to go into our comic books. So guys, bust out those comic books. We're going to want to hear, in the comments what your top 5 is, what was your favorite books of the week were. So we're going to dive into it here. Spoilers, right? We already talked about The Amazing Spider-Man. So we're going to go into the next big book of the week. Curious what you guys thought of Shadow War Alpha issue 1, right? So,
oh man, this was, I have not read an event book like this in such a long time, where something happened in it and I didn't know it was going to happen, and it felt big and it felt weighty and it felt necessary. It felt like an event that actually was built. The artwork was so good. It was just such a well-balanced issue. And honestly, the death wasn't just the one twist. It was Deathstroke not being involved, and who the hell killed Ra's al Ghul. It was a really well done issue. I was shocked. Not shocked, because I was looking forward to it, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was.
Yeah. I mean, we knew that Ra's was going to die because he was dying anyway, right?
Yeah, but not in that way.
I thought in the book that that's how he was going to die. So I didn't feel like that. I didn't think he was going to get assassinated either. But that's not how he died. Like, he was still alive. And then he wound up getting blown up, and Batman saves Damian. And then Batman says that dick thing where he's just like, oh, if I was there, he wouldn't have died. And it's just like, oh my God, how can you say that to Damian? Like, blaming that it was his fault that Alfred got killed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was so bad of Bruce to say that. I was like, oh my God. But such a great issue. And who do you think is the imposter?
Maybe Respawn, just because they built him up in the other issues. You don't think it's Respawn? That's the only person I could think of.
I thought it didn't look like it. It looked like a man.
Yeah.
I thought it was Rose.
Rose could have been interesting too.
Because remember,
I definitely think it's Deathstroke related.
Yeah, because remember, at the end of Robin, she was mad at Deathstroke for what he was trying to do, right?
Right.
So I don't know, but I don't think it's her, but that would be an interesting twist. I don't. Otherwise, I really don't know who it could be. Is there anybody else?
I don't know, but that's what was so cool about this issue, because it was a murder mystery. It was just such a well-balanced issue. I've not seen a well-balanced event issue like this. Ooh, I really don't remember the last time. We do have a question from Jeff from Facebook. I only got Shadow War Alpha for the art. I've enjoyed the current Robin series since issue 1. Should I read Alpha? Do I need to get the tie-in issues? I would say yes, you do need to get the tie-in issues, because it seems like they're parts. Because the last issue of Deathstroke Inc. was important.
The story continues in the different books.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, and you should read this. This is the best DC book I read. This is better
in a long time.
This was better than, like, we're huge fans of, like, Knights of Steel, right?
You think it's better than Knights of Steel?
Yeah, because this is a mainstream book. This is not even an Elseworld book. So this is something that actually has weight behind it, right? So and I said this in my review, if DC could write books like this with other characters, they would be unstoppable. And I wish they would focus more on that type of storytelling. So
yeah,
so good.
This is so good. Go pick up Alpha, guys. I don't necessarily think you need to read Robin, but if you do need to read anything, it's Robin. You definitely don't need to read Batman. You don't have to read Deathstroke to read this. I think it's pretty new reader friendly.
Deathstroke, though, I think you should read the latest issue.
You should, just because it was good, and it probably will connect. Yeah.
It lets you know who Respawn is, so you would want to read that later. That was issue 7. Was it 7?
Yeah. Issue 7.
So Deathstroke issue 7, and then Robin, you don't really need to. You really don't. You know?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, honestly, you just need to know that Robin was there when Alfred died. And I don't even think you really need, they explain it in this issue. So I think it was really new reader friendly, which is also very hard to have for an event and something that ties into so many books. So I think it was perfect in so many levels. Jeff Axo, do I need to get the next few issues of Batman and Deathstroke? Yes, and Robin as well.
Yeah, because those are
it's all written by the same writer.
Yeah.
It's all the same writer.
Yeah. Joshua Williamson is the one that writes this event, so it's taking place in all the books that he writes. So,
and also we have a question from Tevia. I'm just wondering, how do you think Shadow War will factor into Dark Crisis? I don't know if it will, but I think there's a possibility just because of Williamson's writing both.
Right.
But I don't think it will.
Yep. Tyler Hennis says, I haven't read a DC book since never, actually.
Wow. I would say, all right, what do you think is your biggest recommendation right now if you've never read a DC book? I think it's Dark Knights of Steel, if I'm being honest, because it's so new reader friendly.
Yeah. Since it's an Elseworld story, you can definitely read that from issue 1 and you wouldn't need anything. Like, you totally would get that, and it's really good. Me personally, I don't think Kat reads this, but DC versus Vampires is really good.
I don't, but with the panels you've been showing, I'm kind of sad that I passed up on it, because I thought it was just going to be this, like, random, filler miniseries, but it looks fun. Looks good.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So I could recommend that. Robin is a good series.
I want to say Nightwing, but I feel like it's been a little inconsistent recently.
Yeah.
So I would actually recommend Robin more.
Yeah. Robin is a more solid story, so I'd go with that too. There really isn't that much, though, outside of the Batman.
No, those are the two.
Yeah, even Deathstroke Incorporated is not a good series until that last issue, so...
I might pick it up after this event, though, just to see where it goes. Because, if it follows this thread, I would want to see what it's all about. I'm hoping maybe it just had a shaky beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So he says, thanks for the advice. I'll have to get them tomorrow for my local comic book shop. Shout out to Galaxy Comics in Winnipeg.
Ooh, wow. International.
Absolutely. All right. So Shadow War Alpha, it was a phenomenal book. So let's move on to Radiant Black issue 13. So this officially kicks off year 2 when it comes to the series. I enjoyed this book. You get to see what's going on with Nathan now that he's out of his coma, and Marshall dealing with Nathan being out of his coma, right? And him being Radiant Black still, and you know, having a very frustrating time, I guess, in his life in general. So, and I found that quite interesting. By the time you wind up getting to the end of the book, it just seemed like Marshall was very pissed off and took his anger out on the bad guy in this issue.
Yeah, this was a good setup issue, I think is the best way to put it. It was just getting your sea legs back into the book. I don't think anything crazy happened in this one, but it was still enjoyable because you get, it's just, again, Nathan getting back to his life, Marshall kind of figuring out what his life is, because everyone thinks he abandoned his friend, but he's like, I'm a superhero. And there's definitely a complicated relationship between them. And I think there was a lot of hints of cool stories to come, but I don't think there was anything that wowed me in this issue.
Right. You can see he was just very frustrated with just everything not going his way. And I think in many ways he might feel like, hey, I'm the hero here and I'm getting shitted on by everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We'll see how that turns out in the long term, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right. So we're gonna move on to our number 5 book. So what was your number 5 book?
Mine was Spider-Man. It was 3 stars, but yeah, I put it on number 5, so it did make my top 5 at least. If it wasn't for those 2 last pages, I don't think so. But
mine was Ghost Rider issue 2.
Oh, I didn't even know you were picking that up.
Yeah, so this was a recommendation for all the people out there that told me that I should read this because people knew that I was a big horror person, and they're like, oh, if you're horror, you're gonna love Ghost Rider issue 1. So I was like, all right, I'll read it, and couldn't get it at my shop. It was out, so I read it digitally, and I loved issue 1 because it was Johnny Blaze stuck in a town, and he's himself. He doesn't know that he's Ghost Rider. He starts tripping balls. He starts seeing shit. He's like, something's not right. And really what it is it's Ghost Rider trying to come out of him because there's demons around, right? And that's when Ghost Rider comes out, and where the spirit of vengeance comes out to defeat all the other demons. But he was stuck in this town. They were repressing the Ghost Rider. And so, like I said, it made it for a very horrific thing. And in the first issue, he came out, right? And now he's abandoned the town. And now he's trying to figure out who he is, how this Ghost Rider thing works. And it's kind of like almost like a one-shot type of story right now. But you have these private investigators that are trying to find him, right? And the only person that seems like they can find him is this like female investigator who's like very supernatural herself, where she can see the future, but it's dark stuff. Like when she was really young, she had this teacher that was, teaching her, and she was drawing something on her loose leaf paper. And she's like, what's that black stuff? And she's like, that's you having cancer. And then 2 weeks later, she was diagnosed with cancer. And then there was another thing that she explained to the reader where it was like, she predicted that her mom was going to have a baby, but in 2 weeks, she found out she had the baby. And then she predicted that the baby was going to be stillborn, and it was stillborn. It's so dark, man. It was like,
that is not what I expected for Ghost Rider, but I'm glad they're giving like a different take, because I feel like Ghost Rider comes out with a new book every year, and I feel like it always just gets canceled so quickly. So I'm glad they're doing their own take with it.
Yeah, really good. In this issue, it was just like him going to this hotel, trying to find a place to stay. He needed money, so he asked the manager, dude, can I have a like odd jobs to stay here? And so, yeah, he's like, yeah. So as he was in this hotel, he found that this creepy manager, has like these underground tunnels, and he's using it to spy on people, murder people, and feed it to a demon under stairs. Dude, it is
damn
crazy. This is a Marvel book, man. And this is dark stuff. And I'm like, I was all into this book when I was reading. I was like, man, I can't wait for the next one, because it was really good.
I'm surprised there hasn't even been even more buzz. Like I haven't heard anything about it. I'm
Yeah,
glad that some people have been
it's
talking
good.
about it.
Like I said, you got to be a horror fan, and I think if you're
Right.
a horror fan, you'll appreciate what Benjamin Percy is doing on this book. So really well done.
I do like horror a lot, so I'm curious. I mean, we'll see what type of week it is. I feel like
I
there's so
think
many
you would
comics coming out.
definitely. I think you would definitely love issue 1. I wish they did.
Mhm.
I wish they kind of expanded on that a little bit more, made it more than one issue with him dealing with the situation in his town, because he had a wife, he had kids. It was kind of like almost what Black Widow experienced in the beginning of her book,
which we found out is ending.
Yes, I found that out, and I was
God.
like, "Oh man, come on!
What is Marvel doing? Come on, can't do that."
Oh, I know it's.
And when is Kelly Thompson going to be writing then? I guess she's writing Captain Marvel, and that's it right now.
Yeah, I honestly can't see that going that much longer either, though.
No. I hope they announced a new title for her, but I know she did a lot of Substack stuff too. I'm excited for her indie stuff to like officially come out. That's what I'm most excited for, because I don't want to read it through Substack. I'd like to read it physically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's move on now to our next book, Immortal X-Men issue 1. So
yes.
Yeah. I will not be reading
same old
X-Wing X-Men issue 2. I will not be reading
me
it.
Me either. It was really boring in my like. I like the Moira stuff. It's like, okay, cool, but it's like we've seen this before. There definitely was not enough for our next issue. Or it's like, it's just same old, same old. Can we get to a new story, please? It's just I'm not entertained anymore.
Yeah, I mean, all it was just them talking about Krakoan politics, and I just don't find myself into that. Like, the biggest problem with Krakoa X-Men is, obviously we talked about this, the resurrection protocols. Just when you talk about a comic where there's nothing at stake, that's X-Men, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing at stake anymore. And when they don't even fight their own bad guys anymore, that makes it even worse, because now they don't have anybody to fight. They got to manufacture villains, right? And here we spent the whole issue talking about who is going to replace Magneto, because he's retiring from the council, and then you wind up getting a representative from the 5, right, that is voted in. And it was like, it took the entire book to get to that point. And so I was like, man, oh man. So I just can't. I'm just going to be sticking with X-Men. I'm going to try Marauders. What is this?
I know. I was just seeing them like, okay,
yeah,
we will ban them. But yeah, I will only stick with Marauders as well. That's only one, because Marauders feels a little different. It feels at least she's gonna be on the pirate ship. So I'm interested to see that. But other than that, that's the only thing I'm picking up.
I might check out X-Men Red tomorrow and see what's going to go with that too. So
you have to let me know. I'm skipping that.
All right. So we'll see. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about Batman Beyond the White Knight issue 1. This was another really good book too.
I like parts of it, but I feel like I'm kind of getting tired of the White Knight universe. So I'm like, all right, I kind of get it. And also, I've never been a Batman Beyond fan, so
that might be the reason why.
That is definitely a big reason why I don't quite care as much.
I liked it because of the Batman Beyond thing. I liked how
there's more Batman Beyond too this week, right?
Yeah, yep. I love how he was inserted into this book, and I love the character, the interactions between Jason and Bruce in this issue. I thought that was really awesome too, where he's just like, I thought I was replaced by Dick, and he obviously did bad things because of it, and I loved all that in this book. And the ending with Jack was interesting too. Like, I didn't expect
that was interesting. But also, we have seen Joker so much, though. It's like, I guess that makes sense.
He's a pretty cool villain. And the kids, I love the kids in this too.
I did like them a lot, because I thought that was the most different thing we haven't seen, because obviously they haven't existed. So I was like, oh, I'm curious to see what that's going to be.
Right. Parker's Luck says you guys have bots in the chat. Yeah, we took them out.
We made it.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, yeah, bots. All right. So Batman the White Knight was so good. Huge fan of what Sean Murphy has done. It's the only Bat thing I care about. That's pretty cool. All right. So I'll be on board for issue 2. So let's move on to our number 4. So what was your number 4?
Mine was Radiant Black. We already talked about it.
Okay. And mine was Spider-Man. So we already talked about that. So let's move on now to the conclusion to another series, Spider-Woman issue 21.
I thought this was a little rushed. I was a little disappointed with the ending.
Because
I didn't
it
hate
wasn't
it.
supposed to end.
Oh yeah, you could tell. You could totally tell that everything was just like, oh, we gotta throw this here, we gotta throw this, and it's just like, man, I expected so much more from
Like
a
you could
finale. I
tell
wish it was planned.
Yeah, they did this fight, and then all of a sudden she's on the last page and it's over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was disappointed there wasn't the room because I really liked this book. But it didn't end the way I wanted it to.
I wish they would give her they would give them a definitive ending. Like sit there and say, okay, we'll give you up to issue whatever they want, 21. We'll give you up to issue 25. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This thing
No,
keeps
I agree.
popping up.
Yeah, we'll get rid of them for you. Yeah, no, I wish there's. Yeah, I agree. Like, give like 2-3 issues beforehand. It's like, oh, start wrapping up. Because yeah, it's such a good book. I still very much recommend it, even though this arc may not have been the strongest.
Yeah, yeah. I would preach about this book all the time just because it was a gorgeous looking book in the interior. The action was heavy. The humor was hilarious. Like I even liked the humor in this issue was good. You know what I'm saying? When she's fighting she calls them the Ohio brothers, and what boobs always show or something like that.
And then you got like freaking dinosaur. You have a lot in this issue.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. But yeah, when this comes out in trade, I say go ahead and read this if you haven't. And hopefully Jessica Drew comes out with another book again, and it'll be just as good.
I agree. And hopefully we get to see Carla, who wrote this, on more stuff, because I think she's a really fun writer.
Yep. And so Jeff goes, so Mike, you're asking for a Spider-Woman Beyond, LOL. That would be hilarious.
Be surprised.
Yeah, don't be surprised if they do come out with a Beyond story with other characters. God, you know what? They could, Kat.
Look, Marvel's done so many mashups recently. I could see it. I think they had Jessica in the future with some of the Captain Marvel arcs with Kelly Thompson.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, that's another series ending. So let's talk about Rogue Sun issue 2. So what did you?
I like this issue more than issue 1.
Did you really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I liked I described this on Twitter and Brant saw it and he agreed, where he's the Flash Thompson of this universe. It's like, how about Flash Thompson became Spider-Man? And that's what I like, is he's a bully. He's not a good guy in that regard.
Yeah.
But he's trying his hardest. And I liked his relationship with his dad. I like that we got to learn a little bit more about the family. I just thought it was a well-balanced issue.
Yeah, I like that too. I like how the sister is going to help him, along. I do like how he doesn't want his dad involved. So he's like, oh yeah, if I'll do this for you, he's like, you'll disappear. I thought that was kind of cool. I just felt like they spent too much time facing the Wolf Man or the Wolf Bat.
I thought we got a lot of character from it though, because it wasn't really about the wolf. Like, I got a lot from just the father-son dynamic, which is what moved that along a little bit better.
Right. And I felt like they explored that pretty good in the first couple pages, and then they went back to it. So I felt like I would have loved to see even more family dynamic in those parts where they had more Wolfman battle,
Yeah.
So because I like that. I liked when he was in school and that he's picking on the other kids and whatnot. And I'm curious if he'll become a better person as time goes along too.
I think so. I think that's kind of the route they're going with. It was funny because I added Ryan, who writes the book, and I said, oh, he's kind of like Flash Thompson. And he wrote, we don't know if he's a hero of the story. And that definitely makes you think.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's very true. There's so much potential in this book though. And I'm really enjoying it as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Steve asks if this is an ongoing or miniseries. I believe it's an ongoing.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Too. Absolutely. All right. So now we move on to our number 3. What was your number 3?
Mine was actually Silk. I just had a fun time with this issue. I'm not saying it was like the most monumental book, but it focused more on Cindy, and it focused more on the idea of she's just trying to find herself. Who is Cindy Moon outside of Silk? And you had some interactions between her and J. Jonah Jameson, and it was less about the villain, so I enjoyed this issue more.
Right. Well, I'm surprised on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
I was surprised too when I made my top 5. I was like, oh, I guess I had a lot of fun with this one.
I would never expect anyone to talk about Silk ever again.
I know. Here it is, though.
Mine was what was it? I forgot already again. Oh, Batman Beyond the White Knight. So we did talk about that too.
Nice.
Right. And originally that was my number 2. So it actually went down since then. So
we'll have to see what your number 2 and 1 are. Tevye Axe's Rogue Sun connected to Radiant Black. They share the same universe. They don't really right now. They're not tying in. But I'm
they
sure
were
in the
only
future
in that one shot, that super massive one shot together. So they do know who each other is.
Exactly.
All right. Here comes another book that just abruptly ended that could have went on longer. Dark Ages issue 6.
Yeah, I didn't really like this issue. I felt like it was very rushed. It didn't feel like the Tom Taylor that we know and love. I feel like that's been the whole series where it was so big, the thought process, and it's like, well, let's do this in 6 issues. And it never made it for me. It never made it to a Dark Knights of Steel or Injustice level.
Yeah, it could have easily been 12 issues. If it like in the grand scheme of things, like,
and focus more on different characters, because it felt like all the characters were really rushed.
Right. And even the deaths were rushed. Like it was even like Wolverine dies just like that in this issue. You're like, oh, I got Wolverine, I need adamantium. He comes out, he's dead, And it's like that was just done for pure shock
factor.
Purpose. Yeah, and just the way it was all wrapped up, it was very convenient, super easy, just nothing had weight behind it. What was the purpose of introducing Miles in this universe when he didn't even do anything? Like this turned out to be very disappointing at the end of the day. Issues 1 and 2 were really solid. Once they started crossing the river to get to the other side, it's like going on the other side of the train tracks, right? This thing totally went down the tubes for me.
We actually do have a comment. Would you guys recommend the trade for Dark Ages? Honestly, I don't think I would. I think there's other books that you could spend your money on that you're going to enjoy more. That's Elseworld stories.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely disappointed. It just had very strong potential in the beginning, like I said. And it just fell short. If it was a few issues longer, they could have fleshed it out more.
Tevye also asks, why is Dark Ages ending rushed? Did Tom Taylor run out story? No, he just got a DC exclusive deal. So that's what happened.
Yeah. And this, don't forget, this was made during COVID time. So
and it got delayed for like a year. So there was a lot of factors to it.
Right. So maybe he forgot the story that he even wanted to tell.
I think there's a lot of backstory there, and not in a bad way. Just like, sometimes it happens.
Yep. So it's unfortunate, man, because it had great potential. All right. So now we're going to talk about, this is all you. Aquaman issue 2.
I'll be quick. I don't think it was as good as issue 1, and I'll probably be dropping it. It's just I want to like it so much more than I do. And I like Jackson as a character, but it's not going. The plot's not as interesting. It's just like, right now he's trying to figure out if Aquaman is not actually Aquaman because he's teaming up with Black Manta, and no one believes Jackson. I'm like, I don't know. That's just not interesting to me. Like, you have the whole Aquaman family. I think there's something bigger and grander you could do with this book.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure. It's just like, it's disappointing when you want a book to be good and you hope and hope and hope, and then it just doesn't work out for you. It's just sad.
And I read that first, the Aquaman, The Becoming, and I was like, oh, I like the first couple issues, and then the last couple issues, it kind of fell flat for me, and that's why I'm like, I don't know if I want to continue again. I feel like I just wanted to see that through, and now it's the same writer, creative team, so I don't know if I'll get issue 3.
Gotcha. All right, so on the fence. All right, we'll move on to number 2. What was your number 2, Kat?
Mine was Rogue Sun. We already talked about it.
Okay, and mine was DC versus Vampires, issue 6. Yeah, this book was solid, man. I tell you, it's the Justice League vampires versus the other heroes, right? And in this issue, you see our heroes trying to figure out who the leader of the vampires were, and it was actually Nightwing. And he kills Batman in this issue.
I saw that panel. Yeah, that was a cool one.
Oh, and I did not expect that. People earlier in the week were like, yeah, you did not read DC versus Vampires yet. You're going to change your mind on what your top books are going to be. And I'm like,
oh, that's cool.
We'll see. And so, like, I sat there and I saw that page because you didn't expect it. You didn't see it coming. Like, Nightwing was in the book. He was part of the good guys, but he's a vampire, so you can't tell. And then all of a sudden, he's like, boom, sticks his freaking hand through his chest and he dies. Then he also takes out Damian, takes out Jason Todd. Like, he just takes out his whole entire family. It's just, my God, it was so intense. I love this issue. It's a lot of fun, for sure, man. So good. And we still got 6 issues. So I don't even know what they're going to do from here on out, man. Because everyone's dying like left and right.
Who writes James Tynion, I believe.
Yeah, James Tynion writes it. Yep.
And does it release to Deceased? I don't think so, because different writer.
Right. Does not. Yeah, it's completely different. So, pretty good book. Definitely recommend that one. All right. So, moving on to Hulk issue 5. Oh, I didn't mark this. Well, I read it, so.
I figured you read it. That's either way.
I just must have missed it in the doc for some reason. So what'd you think?
I like this a little more. I liked the whole Betty situation. I thought was very interesting, but I still think it's just so out there, the story. I'm very interested to see the Thor story. I keep saying that will determine if I'll read more. I do not want to drop Hulk because it's Donny Cates and it's Hulk, and I've read a lot of Hulk, but it's just not really grabbing me. Even though I did think this issue was better.
Betty is a manifestation of his mind, right?
Yeah, so that's just like him.
Right. And she's getting darker. So the more that he's playing around with this version of Hulk, I think that's what creates this dark version of the Hulk, right? Am I right? That's what we're getting at here?
I think so. But again, it's so like in your face and so like we're not going to explain anything. Here's some like bigger Hulk people that he's going to fight. It's hard to follow.
Yeah. It's like because the book focused so much on like all this action.
Yes.
But I think that because he's pushing the Hulk to its limits by doing this, I think that's what this is creating, another persona of the Hulk. And I think that's what we're getting at here and where it's leading. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I got out of it when I read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at the comments here. Hulk was good. No sale. Hulk, I did get this special grand design or whatever.
I think that's a different series.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. That one came out. I think his psyche is breaking because Bruce is Hulk and he is needing the hell out of himself. Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, and then that manifestation, the Betty is the one that's going to break Hulk completely, so I think that's it.
But we only have one more issue until the Thor story, right?
I think
it's got to wrap up pretty soon.
And then we go into that. Yeah. All right. Oh, I wanted to get this one real quick. Jeff says, got to go. Getting late for me. Need to leave for work at 4 a.m. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good new comic book day tomorrow. Thanks, Jeff, for watching the
Thanks
show.
for sticking with us.
Yeah, it's awesome. Good luck at work tomorrow at 4 a.m. We're not going to be on too much longer because I got to be up at 5:30 a.m. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the number one book of the week. And yours was?
Come on, Shadow War.
Shadow
no
War,
doubt. No doubt.
Yep, and mine was Shadow War as well. I mean that,
and I think Brant's was Shadow War too, if I remember correctly.
Was it? I mean,
I'll look on our Facebook page.
By far, Shadow War was my favorite.
Oh yeah, it was just like, whoa! Have not enjoyed a book like that in a long time.
Like there was
book again like that, something that wasn't an ongoing or whatever. It's just it was so good.
That book was just like there was these books, and that book was next level. Yeah, and I wish we had more of those comics, right? Those next level books where you close that book and you're like, man, that was good from beginning to end. Every single page was good. Art, story, just everything.
It reminds you why you read comics. And there's some weeks when comics come out where you're like, oh man, I wish I loved my books this week and I didn't. You know, my highest was a 4-star and I want something to be 4.5 or 5. But then you get something like this and you're like, yeah, this is why I love comics. It's books like this. And I want every book to be like this.
Not tomorrow, but next week is a very lackluster week. I was
what's coming out?
I did my most anticipated video and I'm like going down that list. I'm like, by the time I selected a book, I was like on League of Comic Beats, I was like maybe 7 or 8 deep before I selected one to be in my top 10. You know,
well, we have Spider-Man issue 1 coming out. We have Gwenverse. We have Gwenverse coming out.
Yeah, see, you're right. That's why it's going to be number 1 for you now.
Yeah, that's true. It is kind of but there's the Spider-Man issue 1. I think is coming out that week.
Well, it wasn't
Amazing
on
Spider-Man.
that. It wasn't on.
Oh, man, it got delayed then.
Yeah. Yep. It got delayed.
Oh, that's gonna be a week then. Yeah, I don't know about that week. That doesn't. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
that sucks that sucks when you're not really excited for a book that comes out and you're just like, I guess I'll read my books this week and be like, well, something surprised me. That's always like the good thing is like, oh, maybe something will surprise me. But a lot of times when something's in like issue 6, you kind of get an idea of how you're gonna feel about that book.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's move forward here. Let's talk about our most anticipated. So it's funny because our most anticipated is my number 1 and your number 1 are the same. My number 2 and your number 2 are the same. The only differences are in number 3.
And then looking at Brand's, his number 2 is the same as all of ours, and then his number 3 is the same as mine. So that's the type of week it is.
So, all right, let's talk about Brant. So Brant's number 3 is Firepower, which is the long-awaited return of that series done by.
I'm so excited for that, just because it's been a while.
Yep.
And it ended in a cool place. The family is together. They got the dragon stuff going on, so I'm excited for it.
Yep. Then we get She-Hulk, issue 3, where we got the Jack of Hearts back. So we got to see that he is normal, I guess, right?
Yeah, and in the end, the cliffhanger was that lab scene. There was that big lab scene. Rainbow,
he's just chilling. He's just chilling in Jen Walter's apartment now, and Jen is going back to work. You know,
Rainbow is so good at character work, but then is also so good at twists and turns. And I love that everything she did with Runaways is going into the She-Hulk run. It is the same exact style of writing. And I'm so excited. All 3 of us are in a very similar thoughts when it comes to She-Hulk, as you can see with it being number 2 on all 3 of our lists.
Absolutely. It's a great book, man. And then Brant's number 1 is Marauders, which I'm actually surprised that Marauders is not on your list.
On my list. Yeah. I have reservations because I just don't it has burned us in the past. I did like that annual a lot, and I'm very excited to see where it goes, but I have not been liking the X-Men books. So I have a little bit of reservations for this one. I'm interested in it, but it didn't make my top 3 because of that.
All right. And then let's see what else we have here. So we got Let's talk about Batman 122. We're looking forward to that one because
After this,
yeah, it continues the Shadow War. So how can you not be excited for that, right?
yeah, no, I honestly, if I hadn't read Shadow War, Batman wouldn't have been in my top 3. But after reading this issue, I was like, oh man, I'm so excited for that next part.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we got, for me, my number 3 is Batman Beyond Neo Year. I'm looking forward to Batman Beyond being back. You know, he hasn't had his own series in quite some time. It ended for some reason a while back, and now he is back. So I'm definitely excited for that. Tevye goes, what about the Devil's Reign finale?
It's coming out. I don't have to be excited for it.
It's not like my top 3, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's there. I don't think it's going to be that great of an ending. I really don't, you know.
I'm more excited for Daredevil issue 1. If that was coming out this week, that would have been, I think, a contender. But I'm not really excited for the end of Devil's Reign.
Daredevil wasn't the one that got killed in the last issue anyway.
Exactly. And honestly, it's again, you compare Shadow War to Devil's Reign night and day. And I know they're completely different events.
That's a perfect comparison because this you have a Daredevil event and this is a Batman event. And this first issue, it was phenomenal, right? Mm-hmm. That first issue of Devil's Reign, I don't even remember what happened.
It's like, I really don't. Kingpin found out Daredevil was Matt Murdock. I think that was the end of that
Was that the first issue? Was it? I don't even know.
I don't even know if it was. I think it was in the beginning. Maybe it wasn't even the first issue. That's so true. That is what Devil's Reign is. Honestly, I really like Daredevil a lot more.
So when does the Amazing Spider-Man series release their new? I'm
gonna look it up.
So we were just looking that up, and I think originally it was supposed to be
the 13th.
The 13th, and now I think it's been delayed because
it's 27th.
The 27th.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. That's why April 13th. I bet you that's why April 13th was such a shit day for comics coming out because they were all anticipating Spider-Man coming out that day, and now it got delayed, and now we got no really huge comic books coming out that day.
Yeah, no, I think that was it. Honestly, like from that week, I was looking, I'm like, am I most excited for Naomi season 2 issue 2? Is that the one I'm most excited for?
Right. And then Tevye, we'll answer this. Why does Amazing Spider-Man need to relaunch
money
back to number 1? It's to get people on board on the new volume of Spider-Man.
And honestly, all right, think about if you were picking up, honestly, like Nightwing. Nightwing is hard to get those back issues, because it was very popular, but it's also hard to figure out which issue it started on. So it's like, it's so much, I am now an advocate to the restarting of issue 1s. It is so much easier to follow.
I don't have a problem with it now because of the legacy numbering. They put that legacy numbering on every single issue now, and if you're a completionist and you want to put all your issues in order, they do that. So who cares if it starts over at number 1? It makes both people happy. It makes the people that are completionists in that way that have been collecting or like the numbering, and then it helps new readers as well. So I don't think there's an issue with it, especially since more and more of our Marvel and DC comics our stories are being told like indies these days, where it's like you get a writer that has a story they want to tell, and then when they're done telling their stories, then they leave, and then you get a new creative team, and then it starts over again.
But doesn't that get annoying? No. It really doesn't. It is something that does not annoy me. I don't care anymore. It's just a different landscape. This is not comics 10 years ago. 10 years ago it was so different. It was so new, but we've been doing this for so long. It's just, is it?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. They've been doing this renumbering stuff for 10 years. And there's more issues to worry about than just the number. Like I said, the number is still there. It's a legacy
number. It's a good story. That's all that matters.
Yeah, they all have that legacy numbering on it. So
yeah, exactly.
Look, like Ghost Rider. This is issue 248. So if you want to follow it by that, go ahead because it's right there. It doesn't matter. It's still there. So however you want to look at it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So,
For sure.
yeah. All right. So I guess that's about it. Kat, you have anything else to say real quick?
Yes. So I'm gonna be at Fan Expo Philadelphia Friday and Sunday. I have a wedding to go Saturday, so my business partner is gonna be there Saturday. My business partner won't be there Friday. His sister's gonna be there, so there's just gonna be a mixed match of everybody. But we are gonna be there. Sunday, we're both gonna be there, and I will be there Friday and Sunday. So if you want to go say hi, it's a really cool show. Kevin Smith is gonna be there. Frank Miller. Ryan Stegman, Donnie Cates. There's so many big names there. I'm so excited for it. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. And then also have my Kickstarter for Slice of Life issue 2 releasing on Monday. It's about an anime character that comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. I will give you the link for that. And if you guys enjoyed these talks, go check out my best comics of the week. I do that weekly on Wednesday.
Yeah, guys. And myself, it looks like this year I could be potentially going to MegaCon. I'm not going to have a table or booth or anything. I'm just going to be there.
I almost went to MegaCon this year, but they took too long. Yeah, they took too long to get the application going through, and the plane tickets are getting so high. So we just decided, like, can't do it this year. We're going to Disney though, so we're going to be in Disney, but we're not going to MegaCon.
That's funny. Yeah, we got to do another MegaCon together in the future. I think that would
hopefully
be
the year after.
Yeah,
they'll be more.
Last
organized.
time we did it together, man, that was a blast that day.
So fun.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to that too, just for that, just to meet up and like hang out. So I'm hoping next year things will be better organized in that regard.
Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, I'll be at MegaCon. So if you guys are in the Florida area that particular weekend, come find me. I'll be there. I don't know what days yet or anything like that. I just know today I was like, oh, it's coming this time. I'm like, I can actually go. I don't have plans that weekend, so hopefully I can definitely go at one point or another. Also look for my comic book haul tomorrow. This week might be a little bit messed up with videos. I got a tennis tournament that I have to host and run. So whenever that happens, that messes up my video production for the week. So I'll do my best to get my videos out. If they're not out, you understand why. I might have to do abbreviated versions of the videos or whatnot, but I didn't disappear. Just letting you know that. But look for my comic book day haul tomorrow, guys. So with that being said, I think we're going to sign off. And guys, make sure you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly so you can watch not only this episode, but every single episode that we have ever done. And you can subscribe to Comic Book Corner 2.0 as well, in case you never heard of my channel before. And of course, if you want notifications from all of those videos, you got to make sure you hit the bell. Okay, so you don't miss a single video from us. Give us a like, of course, helps the algorithm. It helps people know that we exist. And of course, you can follow us on the social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. We don't do social media all that much. We're bad at it. Except Twitter. I think Twitter we do okay on, right? So with that being said, guys, thank you so much. Have a happy new comic book day, and we will hopefully see you all next week with all three of us on here. So good night, everyone.